Hey! Is the noon train on time?
Supposed to be.
Feels like it's time.
Fair enough.
BBN Jack Frost, what's up, party people? How's everybody doing? I'm hoping everybody's having a beautiful day. Okay, so I want to start the show off by saying something dope happened today. Well, first of all, we're going to be talking about they passed the bill. There was a bill that was passed, very important. We're going to discuss that. Give me 1 second. Also, there has been an alleged, and the reason why I'm saying alleged is because in 2014, I forget when it was. I think it was 2014, 2016, 15, pardon me. There was also supposed to have been an alleged attack that happened against the Ukraine, and at that time it was perceived like that alleged attack came from Russia. But now, if I believe to be the events, it's clear to me now that there's also a group of people that believe that those alleged that the actual attacks allegedly did not come from Russia, and the actual attacks actually came from a different party that could have been friendly with the Ukraine. Now, with that being said, there has been an attack once again on the Ukraine. It happened last night, I believe, and it is saying that this attack came from Russia. The reason why this is a thing is because just prior to this attack, what had happened is that there was agreed upon, I think, 30-day ceasefire. So that's why this is interesting and why this is important. We're going to be talking about that today also. But something happened today when I was walking out. I went to go get coffee. I got to buy some more coffees over here for the coffee machine. So I walked out this morning. I do enjoy walking in the morning, just so we could be clear, to go to the store in general. So even if I have coffee in the house, sometimes I still just walk to the store and I go buy like a cinnamon bun or something like that. You know, I just like doing a morning walk. If I could do a longer morning walk and get back in on time, sometimes I do. With that being said, so I'm outside and I see somebody in the neighborhood that I know, and walks up to me and he asks me why, about a situation that has recently happened in Coney Island that I had not covered. And then I explained to him, well, the reason why I don't cover some of the things that happen out here is because there's violence attached to it. And I don't want to cover it. And now there's some people that don't like whatever's happening, and then foolishness happens. Like, I would love to be able to do more covering of Coney Island. But he told me about the story. I will be trying to bring some of that story to you. And I will try to cover more things in Coney Island. Usually the only things I cover in Coney Island is the things that I do, because I know I'm not going to be mad at myself over here. With that being said, let's get to the show. Also, one more thing. So apparently, I agreed to go on a date with someone, and so yeah. So first of all, she's fine. We ain't gonna play with it. So apparently, I was supposed to be on a date with someone, and this, I keep trying to tell you, I be accidentally getting, like, it happens by accident. Like, I didn't even know. It's a long story. But I want to apologize to her. I think she watches the show periodically. I want to apologize. It was a language barrier thing. I didn't know that we was making a date. It was a language barrier thing. I would have been there. Very beautiful woman, very nice woman, very kind woman. I would have been there. I didn't know we was making a date. I thought we was just telling me about a thing. With that being said, I love my neighbors. Like, I love living where I live. It's a great experience. Let's get to the actual news content. We're gonna have a short show today, everyone. I want to say that real quick. We're gonna have a short show. I want to also apologize about that, but we will be having a short show today. Let me show y'all some stuff. Got some things I want to show you. And I got my heart set somewhere else right now, to be honest with you. So, like, if I would have knew, I would have just had to tell her, I got my heart somewhere else right now, baby girl. I wouldn't do you that injustice by dating you while I can't stop thinking about somebody else. That would be insane. With that being said, let's get to it. So the House Republicans pass government funding bill ahead of Friday shutdown deadline. So for everybody that don't know, what's currently been going on is that there is a budget deal, there is a funding bill, that needs to be passed. Why is this so interesting, and why this is something that the Democrats are completely losing their mind over? First of all, to understand why this is a thing that is something that the Republicans want to do contrastly different than what has been previously done in the subsequent years that have preceded the one that we're in currently, and the subsequent bills that preceded the one currently, just so we could be clear. It's because the USID is going, something that they would have wanted funded. Obviously, there are a lot of other programs that have been axed. AXE. I'm black, man. I says it the ways that I says it. From government, like a lot of these DEI programs. So that means that a lot of programs that generally the Democratic Party would have been wanting to be inside of these funding bills, because that's where they would have wanted to spend the money, now either don't exist or Trump just ain't dealing with them. Trump's like, you know what? I don't know about you, but I can't see you. I think we need to start calling John Cena and tell him to get his family off the books. Look. Shout out to Ty Dye. How you doing today, my brother? Hope everything is going well with you and yours. Look, I just want to be clear about this. The Democrats is completely upset about this bill because they are not going to get the things that they want in this bill. And the reason why they're screaming about it so loud is because they can't do anything about it. The Republicans just got to all be on board. And that's why this bill, which was supposed to be, the deadline was Friday, has been passed before the deadline. How often do we see whenever there some kind of, you know what's going to happen? We're going to be a government shutdowns. How often do we hear conversation like that happen? And then it goes all the way up to the deadline, or they have to extend the period of time and the government has to be funded from some monies from somewhere else until they can get an agreement going. Well, this one happened, just so we could be clear, ahead of time. Let's get to it. House Republicans narrowly passed a stopgap bill Tuesday to fund the government until October, putting moderate Senate Democrats in a tough spot, having to either give the measure final approval or tank it and risk a partial government shutdown in 3 days. That's when the deadline would have been. It would have been on Friday. The lawmakers voted 217 to 213 for the first term fiscal year 2025 spending bill known as Continuing Resolution, or CR, to avert a possible government shutdown at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Friday. Libertarian-leaning Rep. Thomas Massey, he's a Republican, what's that, Kentucky? And 212 Democrats opposed the measure. He's a representative of Kentucky, right? Anyway, the Rep. Jared Golden, he's a Democrat from Maine, joined the 216 Republicans in supporting the bill. So one Democrat supported the bill and one Republican went against the bill. Thomas Massey, right now I'm just going to let you know, don't expect to get reelected. Wherever you're at, don't expect to get reelected. You're done. I think they told you that already, right? I think Trump already said some shit, like he was talking crazy. Shout out to Leon Dion. He says, good morning, Jake. Inflation going down. Of course it is. Inflation was going to start going down once. Also, remember, oh man, I didn't tell you about this. Sometimes when these Democrats be talking, and this is why I'm so pissed off at the elected officials, they say things that are just so wrong that I have to assume that they are lying. See, it's one thing to just not know what you're talking about, but it's another thing to try to confuse the truth. So I think that that's the elected Democrats' platform. Because what do they actually run on other than confusing the truth? So it was reported on February 21st, but when do you think it started happening? You go February 15. Much of the gold has been shipped to New York. When do you think it started happening? February 11th. Banks are financially moving gold to U.S. soil. Why would they be doing that if Donald Trump is bad for the economy? Why would they be doing that? So banks, who just one of their primary jobs is to store valuable assets, which in most cases is money, but in this case is gold, and protect it, have decided that they're going to fly their gold from Europe to America. People are slow. People are slow. People are slow. Stop listening to the Democrats. You weren't listening to the Democrats, obviously. I'm saying people are just slow. People just don't. People are just slow. People are just slow. Let's get back to what we was talking about. Not you, Neon. I'm literally explaining that people that are following behind the rhetoric of the Democrats have been so misled. And I don't really blame them. I blame the elected officials once again, because their platform is to mislead and confuse. They don't run on anything else. They just listen to whatever the Republicans or Trump is saying, and they just try to confuse the message. That's it. They're never doing anything else. Why everything I said that would happen when tariffs became a thing is happening? Hold on. We gotta take this little, because this is all inside of the same conversation. Check this out. Oh man, I spelled tariffs wrong. No, Reliance. Reliance? Ah, you know what? Let's do that first. Now, I want to explain something real quick about the tariffs. I'm not going to stay here too long because we're actually having a different conversation. But I just want to point out how the Democrats are just always lying to y'all. They told y'all when tariffs go up, you're going to suffer this because as soon as the tariffs go up, those monies is going to be transferred over to the consumer. Okay, excellent, great. Now, the item that they're selling costs more money. That's the idea. Because when they're forced to raise their prices, that means domestically made items that are made in America, that if those items are purchased, that it makes a bigger incentive for companies to now build factories in America and employ Americans, which is now bringing jobs to the U.S. Why would the Democrats not want to bring jobs to the U.S.? Go back to some of our conversations that we were having politically 6 and 7 years ago. I was saying that one of the main things that we needed to do, one of the main problems that our government currently have, is that all of our manufacturing is over freaking seas. That's no disrespect to anybody, that's unskilled labor. What I mean is you bring in a person that doesn't necessarily have a skill set, and then you teach them that skill set at that company, at that manufacturing plant, for them to be able to do whatever the project is for them to do to complete in order for the product to be made. So we want jobs to come back to America, don't we? So then we want there to be tariffs. Because guess what? When you see that Saudi Arabia has decided that they was going to make a deal with America, a freaking $600 million deal with a $1 billion deal, pardon me, with America, you understand that one of the things that they're going to be doing is investing in bringing jobs to freaking America. $600 billion. Tariffs, family. Now, forget about this $600 billion, right? Let's talk about the chump change. Let's talk about the chump change. Let's talk about, what's that company? Is it TSMC? Let's talk about the chump change. So apparently Jack has been hitting the nail on the head like crazy. Shout out to the Most High, glory be to God. Jesus is King. We do nothing on our own. We do everything with God. So just so we could be clear, the people who want to be in charge of the funding bill, right, is sending all of our money through USAID and other programs outside of the country. Our president, who has people that just absolutely hate him, that call themselves also American, within 60 days of being the president, because 60 days is not passed yet, has brought $600 billion of investment money into the country. I'm sorry, I can't side with Democrats on anything. Let's get back to the conversation about this House Republicans passing of the funding bill ahead of the shutdown that was scheduled to happen on Friday. So just so we could be clear, this guy right here, Thomas Massey, yeah, you're not going to be reelected. You're not going to be reelected. You're in Kentucky too. I believe that's the abbreviation for Kentucky. I'm pretty sure that's definitely going to stay red. And I'm pretty sure that you are not going to win, that Trump is going to support somebody running against you, fam. And I'm not talking about the Democrat that's going to have to beat the Republican. I mean, before we even get there, when all of the Republicans is going to see which Republican is going to, Trump is going to support somebody to take you out. You're done. You're done. Also, probably look into this guy getting into a lot of trouble soon. They see who's getting the kickbacks. So with that being said, this dude right here, Jared Golden, is a genius. You want me to tell you why Jared Golden is a genius? He most likely just won his seat back with this decision. I'm going to explain something to y'all. Pay attention. I promise you, there are at least 20 to 30% of the people who call themselves Democrats who like the direction that's going on right now in the nation. They like the direction. Because you can't tell me that there's not one business owner that's a Democrat. If you own a business, you love what's happening right now. You know, when they tax the checks, when they're taxing your check, they're also taxing the business owner. This is why whenever I hear Democrats talk about how they are for the small business and they're for the little guy, I'm like, how can you be for the little guy? Because in reality, if you were for the little guy, there'd be less little guys, right? There'd be more medium guys, right? Let's just be honest. If it was easier to run businesses, more people would run businesses and thus, pardon me, more businesses would be successful, thus more people would run businesses, correct? So every time they talk about how they want to tax the billionaires, that is where the trickle-down effect actually happens. Because small businesses often need for large businesses to give them discounts in order for them to be able to make money in whatever field they're in. Like, let's say you make merch. If you're able to buy those shirts at a smaller price because that large company is getting incredible breaks from the government, so now instead of, buying X amount of shirts, instead of spending, 2 times the amount that it should cost for the shirt, now you spend 3 times less than what you're currently spending, which is probably a half a time less than what the actual value would be in a normal market, because the market has improved. That company is doing well now. And when you're doing well, you want to sell more product. And by selling more product, the easiest way to do that is to lower the price. Because you want to do more business. So that's why when you have a business that is flourishing, a store location that is doing a lot of business, it's always smart for them to lower their prices a little, because that's going to encourage more business. Thus, at the end of the quarter, it'll be more money made. So when they're constantly talking about we want to tax the billionaires, they're really taxing small businesses. Because now it's harder for the small businesses to get good deals. Now the small businesses have to have prices that are in competition with the large businesses, instead of having prices that the large businesses can't compete with. Imagine getting a similar item in like a I don't know, Tommy Hilfiger shirt, right? And let's say it's a designer t-shirt, right? And let's say Tommy Hilfiger's selling their designer t-shirt for whatever amount of money, right? That small business need to sell that, be able to sell that same shirt, with their logos and everything on it for at least half that price. How can they do that if their materials are high? How can they do that if it's so expensive to get the materials? Because those big, large companies that those billionaires own, they're not going to just lose money because Democrats are saying it's the right thing for them to do. Who the hell is in business to lose money? These are the guys y'all want in charge of the freaking spending bill? No, I don't want these guys in charge of anything. I don't even know how y'all keep electing them, to be honest with me. All right. The Representative Tim Moore, Republican, he was absent. And this Democrat right here, Raul Rajalova? I don't know how to say that. They were Raul G. He's an OG. He was also absent. With 53 Republicans in the upper chamber, at least 7 Democrats will have to cross the aisle to break the filibuster and send the bill to President Trump's desk for signature. Senator Rand Paul has complicated that math, saying that he will vote against the Paul Rand says he's going to vote against the CR. Massey became the first House GOPer to come out against the resolution on Sunday, while lawmakers ranging from the hard right. Look, there are, and I want to be clear about this, there's a lot of these politicians on both sides of the aisle that are going to get caught up in this governmental sting that's going on to find out where the money has been going. There's going to be people on both sides of the aisle. All right, that is what it is. There's going to be Republicans and there's going to be Democrats. All right? It is what it is. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican, Louisiana, and GOP appropriators crafted the short-term resolution spending patch with Trump's endorsement to keep the government lights on through September 30th. Now they got time to try to figure everything out. And this is the thing. And this is what I was trying to explain earlier in the conversation that I was trying to have. They can't really do a bill the way that they want to do the bill until they find out where they can't send money. So the Democrats have already lost the USAID. They've lost a couple of other programs that are now not being funded anymore. I believe the Department of Education, when that goes down, that's going to be big funding that the Democrats are going to lose. I believe they'll be raiding the Department of Education for years. Our schools need help. There are teachers out here that they want to teach. I'm not talking about whatever. I'm not here to be controversial. I'm never here to be controversial, to be honest with you. But there are teachers out there that they want to be able to teach. They want to be able to teach. But they can't. They can't because of all of the binding, the bureaucracy. So they just can't. And I don't think every teacher agrees with the LGBTQ movement shit being in the schools. And I just want to be perfectly honest with you. I want that out of our schools, and I want God in our schools. Period. Period. We are a Christian nation So in our public schools, I would like the Bible. There should be other schools out there. I'm pretty sure the Jewish community has their schools, and they teach their theology in their schools, and that's great. Catholics have their schools, and they teach their theology in their schools, and that's great. Catholics also use the Bible, but you get my point. I'm not saying that all of these other religious facets also have their schools that they teach in. What I'm saying is, in our New York City public schools, I want the Bible. You'll also cover a lot of different religions by having the Bible, or a lot of different religious sects by having the Bible. That's what I would want. And that's just the way that I feel. I read the Bible myself, obviously, so if you want to say that I'm biased, it is what it is. But that's the way that I feel. If we could put the LGBTQ community in our schools, but we can't put God in our schools, I think that that's insanity. And maybe you believe different. That's fine. I'm not here to convince you of anything. But that's why this bill is a big deal. Because by putting the bill off to when, just so we could be clear, they said September 30th. How long did I tell you it was going to be that people were going to figure out what side of this they're going to be on? When did I tell y'all? I said it's going to take 6 or 7 months, right? I said 6 to 8 months, right? I said 6 to 8 months from Trump being in office. Did I not? Anybody in the chat remember me saying that? I said 6 to 8 months. What date you see there? When did Trump get into office? January 20th is when the inauguration was. So this would be 8 months. Right? So either I'm really, really smart, like really smart. I think I got like 14 something on my SATs, by the way. But either I'm really, really smart. I don't know. Is that high? I have no idea. By the way, I have no idea. I actually got my SAT scores back. I read it. It said like 14, like 70 or something like that. And I was like, oh, man, I thought I did bad. I just threw that shit away. I'm so pissed. But anyway, either I'm really, really smart, or there's something else going on here, fam. And just so we could be clear, I've been telling y'all 6 to 8 months after Trump gets elected since like August of last year. Just so we could be clear. So either I'm really, really smart, shout out to the Most High, glory be to God, Jesus is King. Damn sure ain't me. Since the GOP first retook control of the House of Representatives in January 2023, Republicans have not been able to pass a CR without Democratic support. This is the first time. No Democrats supported it, except for one. That was, just so we could be clear, we're going to remember this, guys. I might forget this, guys. Jared Golden. That was the owner of Maine. He's a representative from Maine. Jared Golden. He's the only Democrat, I believe, that they said supported the measure. Shorty damn sure did make a date with me, and I didn't even realize it in the moment. I'd be so fucking oblivious. I just be oblivious. Like, I just don't be thinking about shit. Now I'm sitting over here thinking about how many other females was probably flirting with me, and I had no idea. Here's the bottom line, Johnson said in a Tuesday press conference. If congressional Democrats refuse to support the clean CR, they will be responsible for every troop who misses a paycheck, for every flight delay from reduced staffing at the TSA, and every negative consequence that comes from shutting down the government. That's what Johnson said. If congressional Democrats refuse to support this clean CR. And just so we could be clear, they're just putting off the CR. And the reason why they have to put off the CR until until September 30th is because they're still looking for all of the things inside of the government that is wasteful spending. So what sense would it make for them to right now be like, okay, we're going to guarantee these payments and those payments and all this other stuff, boom, that's where we're going to be funding, when right now they're actually looking for the corruption that is quite so obviously existent. And this is what I'm going to try to explain to y'all. So somebody said, I saw a comedian say, I think it was a comedian, somebody on the internet said, do you really think that they're doing transgender surgeries on mice? And that's the point. That's the point. They're most likely not doing transgender surgery on mice. The problem is, it still got X amount of $1 billion or X amount of $1 million. Where did the money go? You get it? I heard somebody try to say that was an argument for them. Somebody that was talking to me in the street. It wasn't about the mice though, but it was some other ridiculous thing. They brought it up and it was like, do you think they was really doing that? And it's like, no, I don't think that they were doing that. That's actually more of the point. This thing isn't just foolishness, but if they are doing it, it's foolishness. But 9 times out of 10, they're not doing it. 9 times out of 10, what's happening is somebody's pocketing that money. 9 times out of 10. They're not doing it. That's the issue. So that's why, we got to be mindful when we're speaking to individuals sometimes. Because if somebody only has misinformation, it's kind of not their fault when they're saying things that are ill-informed. They might not have access to the requisite information that will allow for them to be able to make better decisions or have a better perspective of the situation. They might not have access. And one of the main things that the Democrats tell their supporters to do is to refuse any information that they're not giving them. So if they're not giving you the information, you must refuse it. I mean, I don't understand how, you know what authoritarianism is? I'm like, what the fuck, fam? I don't feel like authoritarianism. I can barely say the damn word. Now, I just want to be clear on this. This is the thing. Oh, shit. I still got it on the other screen. All right. I was busy showing y'all some stuff and y'all couldn't see it. So, y'all heard what I just said. So, I think people don't know, what things mean. So just so we could be clear, the Democrats have been accusing Trump of having an authoritarianism perspective on governing, while at the same time, they have been committing lawfare against him and others like Eric Adams, which is interesting because somebody said that Eric Adams' case should be thrown out. Have y'all heard about that? Y'all heard about that? Just so we could be clear. Eric Adams' criminal case should be dismissed, amicus lawyer says. So, a New York City, Eric Adams' criminal case should be dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can't bring it back. According to a lawyer, should be dismissed with prejudice, according to a lawyer by the judge overseeing case, boosting the mayor's bid for his final charges tossed out for good. One of the reasons why they're saying that, just so we could be clear, is that the Democrats are also saying that Trump is going to hold this over Eric Adams' head in order to make him comply with helping him get the migrants out of the city. So an argument also was put in to go contrary to that one, saying, so maybe we should just dismiss this with prejudice, so that, you know, if this can't be held over his head, and so therefore it can't be accused that Trump is trying to use lawfare against Eric Adams, when in reality we all know that the people who put this case on Eric Adams in the first place is the Democrats. So once again, gaslighting. So in any regard, that's authoritarianism. Lack of concern for the wishes of others' opinion. They don't even want parents to be able to parent their own children. In California, if your child decides that it wants to be the opposite sex that it was born as, you have to coddle this idea and help mature it, or your child could be taken away from you and given puberty blockers or whatever thing they need to do in order to create a monster. Just gonna say what it is. And why am I saying that it's a monster? Abomination. It's a monster because it's an abomination. And an abomination is offensive to God. So, just so we can be clear, I was just using the correct terminology. Authoritarianism. This is what the Democrats accuse the Republicans of doing. But in reality, they are doing themselves. It's crazy how a lot of my show is really just me pointing out things that I said previously, because now they're coming into fruition. Like, a lot of our show is me talking about things that I told y'all was going to happen. And the wild part is, it's been like that. I'll go 2 or 3 months telling y'all about what's going to happen. And then I spend the rest of the year talking about the stuff that I told y'all was going to happen while it's happening. This is just facts. If anyone has been here long enough, they know this to be a fact. That's basically what my show is. Like I said, either I'm really, really smart, and I do not think that's it. By the way, although I did get like 1470 on my freaking essay, some number. I don't know. I don't know what I got. It was 14 something. I don't want to lie. It was 14 something. Anyway, here's the bottom line. I got so pissed. I was so pissed. I was like, it's scoring so low. Here's the bottom line. My friend, I have friends. I don't know. Everybody just looked at it. Nobody said nothing to me. I was like, damn, I gotta do better. Anyway, Johnson said, here's the bottom line. Johnson said on Tuesday press conference, if congressional Democrats refuse to support this clean CR, they will be responsible for every troop that misses a paycheck, for every flight delay that reduces staffing at the TSA, and for every negative consequence that comes from shutting down the government. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat from New York, and other Democrats have claimed that the funding resolution won't protect federal benefit programs like Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, and will strip benefits from veterans and nutritional assistance from children and family. As far as I know, there is nothing at all in this thing about Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. Once again, this is about preventing wasteful spending. And the Democrats are trying to stop them from preventing wasteful spending because they are benefiting from the wasteful spending. Once again, there's people, and this is Bernie Sanders. Did y'all see the Bernie Sanders? I don't know if it was an interview. I think it was an interview. So in the interview, he was like, there aren't any 300-year-old people getting Social Security. Yeah, Bernie, that's the idea. So where's the money going? And this is the type of stuff people come to me and talk to me about. And I just gotta you just gotta look. You gotta look. And you gotta, breathe. You like this person. I'll put this wire on the other side of this. Anyway, so there isn't Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. I believe Mike Johnson said it doesn't show up anywhere in the bill. So what are these guys talking about? In the past, hardline Republicans have voted against CRs and forced party leaders to rely on Democrats to get bills over the line. With 218 Republicans and 214 Democrats currently in the House, the GOP can only afford to lose one vote when there's full attendance. Normally, a critic of the CRs, Representative Andy Harris, a Republican from Maryland, who leads the most conservative caucus of Republicans in the House, issued a statement of full support in Tuesday's presser. This is the first continuing resolution in my 14 years that have actually reduced the amount of spending from the previous year while funding the military and funding veterans, funding women and infant children programs, says Harris. I just want to mention something real quick that your man Hakeem Jeffries over here, the House leader, the Democratic minority House leader over here, Hakeem Jeffries, he said, and I guess this is a quote, and will strip benefits from veterans and nutritional assistance from family and children. So first of all, just so we could be clear, this bill, as far as I've been told, I've heard said from the politicians that have read the bill, Mike Johnson, it doesn't speak at all about Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. Like, it's not even mentioned. Like, what are you talking about, fam? Just so we could be clear. And the other thing that he said is that it would strip benefits from veterans and nutritional assistance from women, from children and families. Just for this individual over here to say that the main reason that they are supporting it is that this is the first continuing resolution in my 14 years that actually reduces the amount of spending from the previous year while funding the military, funding veterans, and funding women and infant children programs, says Harris. And as far as I can tell, oh, this is Thomas Massey right there. Thomas Massey, I hope these last little bit of time that you in that seat, you appreciate it. Do not think that you're going to be there much longer. Just my opinion. Next elections, I think you're going to be losing. I'm banging my elbow on this repeatedly. This elbow too. Repeatedly. Yep. This is not the time to be speaking to me. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer noted that the stopgap, in fact, increases spending for veterans and nutritional assistance programs, including $500 million for special supplement nutrition programs for women, infants, and children. So, just so we could be clear, we have this representative that is saying that the bill actually is funding the military, funding veterans, and funding women and children programs. And we have this House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, Republican from Minnesota, noted that the stopgap, in fact, increases spending for the Veterans Nutritional Assistance Program, including $500 million for the Special Supplemental Nutritional Program for Women, Infants, and Children. So, you know how I constantly tell y'all all the Democrats do is lie? No, I constantly say that. I can't blame the voters because y'all told to only listen to the Democrats. Don't listen to nothing anybody else is saying. If you ever hear anything that is said that the Democrats are not saying, it's a lie. The only things you could believe are what the Democrats are saying. You can't believe anything else other than what the Democrats are saying. Right? That's what the Democrats say. Right? Anything else ever that's said other than what they're telling you that you can believe is a lie, right? I'm just saying. Authoritarianism is a political system characterized by the rejection of political plurality. The use of strong central power to preserve the political status quo and reductions in democracy, separation of powers, civil liberties, and the law of rule. So who wants to reduce the law of rule, the rule of law? Who wants to get rid of the First and Second Amendment? I think that's the Democrats. Who want to reduce your civil liberties? Over there, the leftists over in Europe have already made it. They're locking up people for social media posts. And don't think it's not a civil liberty for a woman to have a female's restroom that only women are allowed in and not men. That is a civil liberty. Don't think that women's spaces aren't civil liberties. They are. They want to mess with the separation of power also. How do we know that to be the truth? If the president does something that is totally, completely inside the president's rights, they want to take him to court. How? So, who's the authoritarian here? That's what I mean. Like, people don't even know what words mean. That's why sometimes when you're talking to people, it's much easier to talk to people that y'all have a different viewpoint who you don't like. because you're trying to use kind words, but you're still going to be like, all right, I throw a jab in there here and there. Hope you get the point. Or some real bitter sarcasm. But then when there's people you're like, oh, man, don't worry. I know you're a smart person. You're going to get it. I got faith in you. You're going to get it. I don't need you to believe that a thing is true. What I need for you to do is recognize after the fact that it's true at this point. Because I'm not looking for you. I get it. You're a Democrat. The Democrats are telling you a thing and you 100% sold on whatever the Democrats are saying. I get it. Boom. Let's go. We're going to move from there. So now the Republicans have done a thing, and the thing that they've done, actually the American people are benefiting from. I just need you to recognize that. That's it. Just recognize that. I don't need you to believe something that hasn't happened yet. I'm fine with you still not believing the stuff that hasn't happened yet. But let's recognize what is happening. Donald Trump gets into office, and then banks are moving their gold bars back to America. And I get it. Some people don't understand how bananas that is. But banks are moving their gold bars back to America after Trump gets back into office. So wherever those gold bars were, they figure that they're more protected in America now. Also remember this. Fort Knox. Trump started joking around about going back into Fort Knox. Remember that? Remember? Shit, I didn't mean to dub the other one. Hold on. Remember what the other one said? It was February 20th. Look. So the Democrats don't want us to do tariffs. The Democrats say tariffs are bad. JP Morgan just had heard that tariffs might be a possibility and immediately shipped $4 billion to America. When are y'all going to get off of the plantation? JP Morgan Chase & Company will deliver gold bullion valued at more than $4 billion against future contracts in New York. So they're investing $4 billion. JP Morgan investing $4 billion in New York in pure freaking bullion. Gold bullion. Also, just so we could be clear, the bank, which is by far the world's biggest bullion dealer, so the biggest gold dealer on the planet, was one of several institutions to declare plans to Thursday deliver bullion against contracts traded on CMH Group's Commerce that will expire in February. So this is about the stock market? So why are the Democrats against these things that we're benefiting so much from? I'm so curious. Remember how I keep telling y'all the Democrats need us to be poor and broke? Why are the Democrats against all of these things that it seems we're benefiting from, or we're going to benefit from? You know, every time they open up one of these companies that the Democrats are complaining about, they employ people, right? Like these companies aren't ran by AI. So every time you hear money's coming into America like this and like those deals, those are jobs. In some cases, 50,000, 60,000 jobs. And I just want to point something out. Specifically, they said contracts in New York. So this is $4 billion that's coming into the New York economy. You see why our schools, why we have to get rid of the border, the national border ed, so our local schools could decide what our kids need to learn and not need to learn? We need to give the power back to the local schools. We need to give the powers back to the teachers, the power back to the principals. Heck, let's give the power back to the custodial staff for all I care. But we got to get the power back to the individual schools so they can teach these kids. Because these standards that the federal government is helming over our schools right now is not helping, and we are not benefiting from. And I can't tell you how many years we haven't been benefiting from this. But one of the things that I consistently tell people, and this is, I'm so happy that I went to PS 59 at the time that I went there, because I was able to see the difference from what my school taught to what other kids was getting. And there were a lot of good schools. Don't get this confused. I'm not acting like I had the only good school. But the thing is I came from a tiny school. Like, it was tiny. It was just a small school. So they were able to really focus on things more. And they were just able to really, less kids were lost. I see these kids nowadays. And I work in a center, as y'all know. And we got some just beautiful kids there. And so I'm out and about. And you just want to grab them all up and give them some activities, Make them feel good about themselves. Because that's what it's about. This isn't a competition between adults. We're not competing for the affection of the freaking children. We're trying to help them become their best selves. We're not trying to give them a million experiences. We're trying to allow for them to understand that there's more and that they could accomplish anything that they dream within reason. Pretty soon, large portions of Americans that are Democratic voters are going to start voting Republican. Because at this point, I don't see how you could want better for our children and not at least consider voting Republican. I just don't see it. And I'm not even talking about the stuff that's happening in the schools at this point. So I come home from the center yesterday. Shout out to Coach Reg. He dropped me off. So I come home and I'm changing because I'm about to run out to the Chinese food restaurant and get some Chinese food. I didn't have him drop me off at the Chinese food restaurant because I was in my basketball clothes and it was kind of chilly, and I didn't want to walk all the way home when it was chilly because I might have got myself sick. So I had him drop me off at my crib. I changed my clothes, put on some pants, coat. So now I'm walking to the Chinese food restaurant and I get surrounded by a ton of the kids from Seagate, where I live. Just surrounded. These are my kids. And they're just so excited. They heard that I'm at the center. They want to come to the center because they want to hang out with me. I'm fun. In addition to that, our center over here, our gym, has been fixed up a little. And at least one of the kids, I think 2 or 3 of the kids, one of their parents is on the board. I met them, and really nice man. So, why should they be the only kids that have the opportunity? Now, I'm going to go where I'm needed, and I'm going to go where I believe God sends me. But that's the kind of impact I want to have. I wish it translated. If you get it, you get it. I'm not going to stand here and beat a dead horse, but I wish it translated. It's not a competition. I'm not in competition with no one for the affection of the neighborhood kids. It's not a competition. You win. I just want to save them. I just want to give them opportunities, and I want them to be the best of them that they could be. Whatever this competition is, somebody might think that they have with me for them, you win. I'm not interested. Let's get back to our conversation. As part of that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE has received almost $10 billion more than the previous year's spending to carry out mass deportations. We missed this line. So basically, we're talking about the bill that was just passed. House Republicans, they were able to pass the bill. I hate when that happens. Stop it. House Republicans, they were able to pass the bill. And the reason, I'm going back down. House Republicans were able to pass the bill. And the reason why the House Republicans were able to pass the bill, basically all the Republicans and one Democrat, all the Republicans with the exception of Thomas Massie, voted for the bill. The Democrat that actually voted for the bill was Jared Golden. All the Democrats voted against the bill, with Republican Thomas Massie siding with them. The bill still was passed, by the way, at 217 to 213. So the bill that was passed, just so we could be clear, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat from New York, he said that one of the reasons why the Democrats were against said bill is because they had claimed that the funding restitutions won't protect federal benefit programs like Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, and will strip benefits from veterans. While he's claiming all of this, Mike Johnson said, Right. He claimed this. Mike Johnson has said, oh, shoot. Did I press the right button? Yeah. Mike Johnson has said, Speaker of the highest house, Mike Johnson. Oh, sheesh. Sorry about this, y'all. I'm just hitting all of the buttons and everything is just clicking. I'm trying to be schmoozes. I gotta wait for the page to load up, apparently. Here we go. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says that President Trump and Republicans will not cut Social Security, Medicare, despite potential cuts to the program being floated amid a budget battle in Congress. Once again, no one's cutting any of these programs. What they're doing is removing wasteful spending. Now, while they're removing these wasteful spending, sending checks to people who are like 300 years old, sending checks to people, I think they said there was like 1 point something billion dollars of money going to people who are over like 200 years old. That's crazy. Anyway, Mike Johnson says that that's not true. Speaker of the House says that while the House blueprint does not mention Medicare, it instructs the Energy and Commerce Committee, which has jurisdiction over the program, to make at least $880 billion in cuts. Let's see who says that. Under Johnson's, and then we're going to get back to the other thing. Under Johnson's leadership, the Republican-controlled House narrowly passed a budget blueprint on Tuesday night that calls for massive cuts to the government spending using the reconciliation process, which allows the Senate to sidestep filibusters and pass bills with a simple majority. But the Republicans in the closely divided Senate have already indicated that they may not support Johnson's version of the budget, due in part to the concerns that the legislation could seriously impact popular social programs like Medicaid. So the Republicans are saying that if this bill actually affected things like Medicaid, that they will be against it and they would not vote for it. Just so we could be clear, during an interview with CNN's Caitlin Collins on Wednesday night, Johnson confirmed that he had met with Trump and Senate Majority Leader Tom Thune to discuss plans on the budget reconciliation bill. Johnson predicted that the Senate would allow for the bill to lead on the budget despite concerns over Denton Medicaid. He went on to say that the Republicans and Trump, who campaigned last year on a promise to leave the programs intact, would instead support only eliminating the fraud, waste, abuse out of Medicaid. Once again, they're not cutting Medicaid. They're trimming the fat. They're cutting the fraud, waste, and abuse out of Medicaid. This is what the Democrats are complaining about. We're not going to do that, Johnson said, referring to cutting Medicaid benefits. The Democrats have been lying about it, and it's important for us to clarify that. Once again, Mike Johnson said the Democrats have been lying about it. And so it's important for us to clarify. We're going to take care of those who are rightfully, we will take care of those who are rightful beneficiaries of the program, he added. We're going to cut the fraud, waste, and abuse out of Medicaid, and that's where we're going to get part of the savings to accomplish this mission. When asked whether cutting the fraud, waste, and abuse would lead to the current Medicaid recipients losing their coverage, Johnson insisted that a commitment had been made that the Republicans would not touch social programs. The White House has made the commitment. The president has said over and over and over, we're not going to touch Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare. Johnson said we've made the same commitment. Now, that said, what we're going to do is go into those programs and carve out the fraud, waste, and abuse and find inefficiencies. So now, with that being said, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and other Democrats have claimed that funding resolution won't protect federal benefit programs like Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, and will strip benefits from veterans and nutritional assistance from children and family, while at the same time, normally a critic of CRs, Representative Andy Harris, who's a Republican from Maryland, and also who leads the most conservative caucus of Republicans in the House, issued a statement in full support of the presser. So somebody who would normally be against a CR is actually in support of said CR, and he brings Republicans with him, just so we could be clear. So people aren't always voting along party lines. They got their little cliques inside of each party. This is the first continuing resolution in my 14 years of actually reduced the amount of spending from the previous year while funding the military, funding veterans, funding women, children, infants programs, said Harris. So I want to know, in what world are y'all believing that the Democrats are your friends? What world In what world do we live in where someone that consistently lies to you about important things in order to convince you to go against your best interest so that they can benefit? In what world is that a good thing? Why in my head do I hear crickets? Democrats. I don't have any videos to show y'all today. I have videos, just so we can be clear. But I didn't want to have a show showing videos today. We'll get back to that format tomorrow. I just want to have like an open discussion where I'm just talking about any old random thing. I just want to be honest with you. So we tried to stay as close to what our main topics have been and close to this topic. We got a verse of the day. Philippians verse 1, line 21. Oh, this is the one from yesterday. Let's check out the one that's for today. Here go our verse of today. Jonah, verse 1, line 17. And yes, I remember which ones is from which days. That was from the other day. Now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in his belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. So everything in due time. Everything in due time. In God's time. If there's anything that you're waiting on, but you have been putting the energy towards receiving, in God's time. Be patient. I want to tell y'all about a story in Coney Island real quick before we get off. So I was outside going to the store this morning, and I ran into someone that is always kind and nice to me. He's a black guy that works at Night Child here. Tall dude, big guy. Always been kind and nice to me. Ever since I've lived out here, he's always always been kind. Always had a nice, kind word for me every time I see him. So I run into him, and he asks me why didn't I cover a story. A thing happened a couple of days ago where a man out here was stabbed. His name is Donald Nesbitt, and he was stabbed by his girlfriend apparently. And he asked me to cover the story, so we're gonna cover this story. All right. Girlfriend charged with slay of man found stabbed in lobby of her Brooklyn NYCHA building. It goes on to say a longtime girlfriend of a 47-year-old father found stabbed to death in the lobby of her Brooklyn NYCHA building has been arrested for his slaying, police said on Monday. How do I get this out of here? I can't get it out of here. Oh shit! This is the Daily News. Pardon me. Let's find a different circulation. Daily News. All right, here we go. I have to pay for the Daily News in order to be able to see their stuff. I don't pay for them. So that's why you often see us do New York Post over here. I guess I could also... We could just go directly to the Post. I like 12. Let's go with 12. I like 12.
In connection to the deadly stabbing of another over the weekend. It all happened at a NYCHA building in Bed-Stuy. And News 12's Valerie Ryan is breaking down those details.
Saturday morning, just before 6, police say they found 47-year-old Donald Nesbitt dead at the Roosevelt houses. What's your first reaction to that?
I felt upset. I felt like, oh my Lord.
He was stabbed multiple times in the back. Police tell us the victim did not live in the building, but his attacker did. A resident told us off camera his body was found in the lobby. Do you feel safe living here and in the neighborhood?
Yeah, but not no more finding that out. Like, who could it be, you know?
Police say 40-year-old Caden Martin has now been arrested and charged in connection to this fatal stabbing, while sources tell us Martin and the victim had an on and off again relationship. She faces charges including criminal possession of a weapon and manslaughter. We visited Nesbitt's home to speak with his loved ones. Nobody answered the door. A neighbor tells us Nesbitt was a good guy and was always willing to help others. In Bed-Stuy, Valerie Ryan, News 12, Brooklyn.
Let's read what they have going on. Shout out to News 12. I like they Bronx people also. Their station, the News 12 station in the Bronx, was like, it's in Soundview. It's the old Cablevision place, and I lived next to there for a long time. The NYPD says a woman was arrested, charged in connection of the fatal stabbing in Bedford-Stuyvesant. The police said Saturday, just before 6 a.m., they responded to a 911 call at 153 Marcus Garvey Boulevard. They found 47-year-old Donald Nesbitt dead at the Roosevelt houses. Officials say he was stabbed multiple times in the back. Police say the victim did not live in the building, but his attacker did. Caden Martin, 40, has been arrested and charged in connection of the stabbing. Caden Martin, 40, has been arrested and charged in connection of the stabbing. Sources says Martin and the victim had an on and off again relationship. Martin faces charges including criminal possession of a weapon in the 4th degree and manslaughter in the 1st. Okay, so that's basically the situation that happened. They told the story, I guess, is best. Let's see what they got to say. They're gonna let me turn the volume on that.
I had a case, so I called my attorneys now at the Barnes firm. My case was worth $1.2 million.
Okay, nobody got time for that. They just... Okay, here we go over here. Video has no sound. Okay. Could I at least enlarge it? Okay, we're not doing this. They're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So I wanted to talk about that case. Shout out to the homie that saw me and asked me to talk about this story. I talk about more Coney Island stuff. I don't really got an issue. It's just, I'm not never looking for unnecessary issues. Upon arrival, we're going to read what this article says real quick. It might have a little bit more information. So we'll read what this article says real. A man stabbed unalived in Brooklyn apartment building lobby in the borough's third of unaliving in 12 hours. Sheesh. Brooklyn detectives are investigating a deadly stabbing at a public housing complex on Saturday morning that claimed a man's life, according to police sources. The grim discovery was made at around 5:44 a.m. on March 8th inside the lobby of a building in 153 Marcus Garvey Boulevard within the Roosevelt houses in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Officers from the 81st Precinct and Police Services area received 3 frantic 911 calls about an unconscious man in the lobby. Upon arriving, the officers say they discovered 47-year-old Donald Nesbitt of Coney Island unresponsive with stab wounds to the back. EMS pronounced him dead at the scene. It marked the third homicide in Brooklyn in less than 12 hours. Police are also investigating separate shootings in Bedford-Stuyvesant on Friday night and Broadway Junction early on Saturday morning. The victim in Saturday's deadly stabbing is known to police. Sources familiar with the case said it is not immediately clear when and why the deadly attack occurred. No arrests have been made. An investigation ongoing. So this is before she was actually arrested. And this is what I don't like. We're not going to read these guys anymore. If I ever get ready to pull up on these guys, somebody remind me we're not reading these guys' articles anymore. I don't like that they had to say that the victim was known to the police. Like, he the whole victim. I don't want to hear that he was known to the police. I want to hear about how the situation shook out. I want to know the facts of the case. Him being known to the police have zero to do with the facts of the case unless the police were the ones that unalived him. So I don't need that information. That information isn't even pertinent. That information could only make him look bad. The information could only be presented in order to make people say, well, maybe this is a... No, it's not. I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. We're not going to agree that this should have happened or anything. We're going to allow for the facts of the matter of the case to come out, and then we're going to, however they shake out, depending on who you are as a person, is depending on how you're going to feel this situation is going to emotionally connect with you, and then you're going to make a decision on who was right and who was wrong. As far as I can tell right now, we're not siding with the unaliving of people, just so we could be clear. We're not siding with that. So let's find out what happened in the case. She's been arrested, rightfully so. These guys is jerk-offs. But she's been arrested, rightfully so. And hopefully we'll find out more about what's going on with that. I'll continue coverage on it. Maybe we'll drop a 10-minute video on it also. I don't know. Let's see what else I had up here. Muhammad Khalil supporters arrested after clash with NYPD as pro-Hamas Colombian graduate faces deportation. Now, what did I tell y'all I wanted to happen? And I want to be clear about this. Every person who is a foreign student that is in this country on any type of green card, on any type of student visa, on anything at all, that shows up to any of these protests and decide that they're going to protest in a raucous fashion, that they're going to be loud, boisterous, that they're going to be disruptive. I don't have a problem with you being out there with your signs, saying that you don't like a thing or whatever. That's protesting. But preventing people from entering establishments, yelling at people, cursing at people, trying to get people to emotionally break to a point of they are now violent, back towards you. Yeah, deport them fools. Get them up out of here. Get them all the way up out of here. When do you know about Americans going to these other countries and doing things similar? Deport them all. There's people that are paying for those colleges, and it's breaking them. There's families who's paying to send their kid to school, and it's breaking them. And now they just lost the whole semester. I think people's monies need to be reimbursed. I think people's money should be reimbursed. I think that if these schools are at all complicit with allowing for these individuals to be disrupting class, if they're at all complicit, I think that tuitions need to be reimbursed. Not they get some free semesters. No. I want them reimbursed. I want monies coming directly from the school funding back to the student. And on top of that, I want them to now be able to get a semester free. Because you know the one thing that you can't buy? The one thing you can't get back, pardon me? Time. About a dozen people were cuffed as they clashed with NYPD officers during a demonstration in support of former Columbia University student Muhammad Khalil on Tuesday afternoon, police said. Cops swarmed to make arrests after the throngs of protesters blocked the downtown Manhattan street despite repeated warnings from police to clear Broadway. Just arrest them, fam. Just arrest them. And I want them to not just arrest them, but I want them, as soon as they get arrested, as soon as the cuffs is on, I want all masks ripped off. I want that to be policy. See, like shit like this, I don't trust. I want, upon them getting arrested and the cuffs being put on them, I want all masks removed. And then I want perk walks at the spot. You're asking, yo, why does Jack want this? Like, yo, this is crazy. Nigga, Jack. Like, you just want to embarrass people, Jack. You just, no, not at all. I'm going to explain. I guess I'm going to contextualize something real quick. First, I'm going to show you a video.
Doesn't like.
Yeah, I get paid to be out here.
You get paid to be out here?
Yeah.
Amazing. So some pack.
Yeah, you really are getting paid for this?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh. Definitely. 100% I'm getting paid for this.
So I want them to rip the mask off these people as soon as they put handcuffs on them. Because in a lot of cases, these are the same people from that other rally on the other side of America. They was at the other rally over there in that other city. And they was at a rally in that other city. And there's another city they was at a rally in. And they've just been disrupting business all over America. So now, how are we going to add counts if we don't know who's who? So I want people masks ripped off as soon as they get in cuffs. Immediately. Why are you people allowed to be so disruptive and then also hide? Isn't part of protesting being seen? This isn't a third world country. Nobody is shooting you for protesting. Nobody is coming to your home for protesting. Why do you need the mask? You know what God says in the Bible? He says that when you accuse somebody of something, that person that's being accused has to have the opportunity to stand in front of their accuser. So how are you going to be the accuser and you got a mask on? Just asking. Let's go to a couple of more of these stories I had lined up over here. Well, arrest them all. Put all of them in jail. And then send them home. Trump border czar Tom Homan heads to Albany to call out New York Dems over pro-illegal immigration policies. They're just setting up to arrest some of these people. That's all. That's what I think is happening. They're going to end up arresting them. Watch. They're going to end up arresting some of these people. And then after they arrest a couple, then the bullshit is going to go away for a little while. Because the problem is this. All right. So I'm gonna explain to you what I believe the problem that the Democrats currently have. Everything that the Democrats have been pushing during the Biden administration and also during the Obama administration, the American people now say that they don't want. So Obama was basically one of the most popular presidents that we have ever had during his presidency, correct? But now all of the policies that Obama had been pushing during his presidency, the American public has rejected. So that means everything that the Democrats have been building for the last, 18 years, possibly 24 years, but 18 years is now done. Possibly 16 to 18 years is done. They've lost all of that momentum. The LGBTQ stole it from them. That's really what happened, by the way. The LGBTQ in the schools was such a bad idea that it broke America in a manner that allowed for people to wake up. If they never tried to push that shit in the schools, there's no telling what we'd be having to live with. But what happened is the Democrats made a lot of parents, or made parents in general, the enemy. And that was it. So that's basically what's happening. The American people have rejected the Democrats' big plan. It's rejected. And just so we could be clear, the illegals was their backup plan. That was not the illegals was their backup plan. They just was trying to create so much confusion that they could come out of the rubble. That's all. Their initial plan was the LGBTQ movement thing and shaming everybody into going with their policies. That was their initial plan. That started failing. So, and the proof of that is Donald Trump's first presidency. That started failing. So, they implemented, during Donald Trump's presidency, the lockdown. The lockdown allowed for them to do their second thing. We'll get into that conversation someday, maybe. But let's get back to this. President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, plans to blast Albany Democrats in the state capitol over pro-illegal immigration policies Wednesday. Homan, a native New York's North County. Oh, a native of. I don't know how I didn't see the of. Homan, a native of New York's North County, plans to stand with Republican legislators fighting to repeal the state's green light law, which is the target of a court challenge by the Trump administration. He also plans to rally behind Senate and Assembly Republicans' efforts to push back on New York's sanctuary city policies, such as New York's Lake and Raleigh Act, which will require law enforcement to notify ICE upon arresting non-citizens. Yo, it's bananas how hard they're fighting for illegals. They don't fight for American citizens half this hard, fam. Not even half as hard as this. I don't see how people don't get it. Kathy Hochul isn't expected to meet with Homan. She is going to be in New York City. This is by design. They don't want her there. They don't want her there. Because she about to be done. She about to be done. They going up to Albany right now to let everybody know that she's done. She's done. If y'all want to come out on the right side of this is your last chance. That's what he's up there doing. I promise you. Republicans have welcomed the Trump's administration lawsuit trying to unravel the green light law, which allows undocumented migrants to get driver's license and restrict the DMV from sharing those data with ICE. Yeah, these dudes is about to be in so much trouble. Also, for everybody that don't know, don't the MTA Okay, no. That's a whole nother conversation. But it's valid, but it's a whole nother conversation. I'm not gonna get into that because I'm gonna go run off and first of all, I want to end the show like 10 minutes ago. So I'm gonna go run off and it's gonna be another 20 minutes of me talking about something else that we're not even talking about right now. Last month, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi sued Hochul and the state, arguing the Constitution requires New York to fork over data. Bondi's announcement of the lawsuit later prompted Hochul to cancel a lunch meeting with Trump because they're done. She's done. In 2017, then Governor Andrew Cuomo issued an executive order that prohibits state authorities from cooperating with ICE. And y'all want to make him, he's going to lose the presidency. He's going to lose the mayorship so bad. He's going to get absolutely walloped. And what's going to happen is, see, this is the problem. I'm going to say this real quick. By the time... It might not be a problem. By the time our next elections for the mayor come up, Trump is going to be so popular. He's going to be so popular. He's about to turn New York City red. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if Adams is going to run as a Democrat or a Republican. I don't have the slightest idea. But he's going to have Trump there. Trump's going to be right there supporting him. And that's going to hurt the Democrats even more if Adams stayed Democrat. Because that means that you're going to literally have a Democratic mayor in a Democratic city that has more reason to side with the Republican president or Republicans just in general than they do Democrats. So I hope that Eric Adams come out on the right side of this. And I also hope he stays a Democrat. I don't want him to switch to the Republican side. The Democrats need strong Democrats over there. They need to build up we need a strong Democratic Party and we need a strong Republican Party. So I don't want him to switch. I want him to stay being a Democrat and do the good Democratic business. Not this other shit that the Democrats be doing. The good business that they do. Because just like the Republicans do stuff that, I'm obviously against, the Democrats do a lot of things that I'm for. So get back to doing the good Democratic business and get away from doing all of this other shit that the Chuck Schumers and the Nancy Pelosi's of the world and the Hakeem Jeffries of the world is supporting. And please don't do anything that AOC is supporting. I mean, what in the hell, fam? With that being said, let's see what else we got going on over here. We didn't talk about the Russia launches deadly missile attack on Zelensky's hometown just hours after Ukraine agreed to ceasefire proposal. Let's talk about that real quick. And this happened on March 12th. Today's March 12th. Anyway, it's Wednesday too, right? Russia, I need a wife so bad. You have no idea. I am so terrible with time maintenance. It is absolutely ridiculous. I be walking around and I don't even be knowing what day it is. I'm not even lying. Sometimes it be like Thursday. I'm thinking it's like Tuesday. The only day that I get right 100% of the time for the most part is Sunday. It's like the only day. I don't even be knowing what day it is. Also, I don't want to decide what I eat for dinner every night. That's overrated. That's so overrated. I don't want to make that decision. Anyway. Russia launched a deadly missile assault on President Vladimir Zelensky's hometown Wednesday, just hours after Kyiv agreed to a U.S. proposed ceasefire with Moscow. The overnight attack on Kyiv, I don't know how to say that word. The overnight attack, unalive 47-year-old woman. That's her name. I'm going to try. I'm not going to try. Because I can't even, my brain just is not working right. I mean, it's working right, but it's too hard. I need to hear some Russian words and see how they are written and then how they're pronounced. And then I'll be able to do this. Because I can't figure that out. Anyway, because I just have a real good feeling that some letter in here is silent and I don't know which one it is. A 47-year-old woman was injured at least a 47-year-old woman injured at least 9 others. The overnight attack of and my brain is just so because I want to say the name. The overnight attack. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. That's not the lady's name. That's a place then, right? Okay, so hold on. If that's a place, that means I can figure out how to say the word. Like, what the fuck? I'm terrible with time management. This is why I don't get nothing done half of the time. But when I do get something done, it's usually really, really well done. How do I say the damn word? It's a place.
For today, we are looking at how to pronounce these names, as well as how to say more interesting names from Ukrainian that many mispronounce, so make sure to stay tuned to the channel. Krivi Riech. Krivi Riech is how it is said. Krivi Riech. Krivi Riech. Krivi Riech. Krivi Riech.
So the Y's an E.
Krivi Riech is how it is said. Krivi Riech. Krivi Riech is how Krivi Riech it is said in Ukraine, so you could say it as Krivi Riech. Krivi Riech. And now you know. Here are more videos on how to pronounce more confusing. And now
I use this monitor for like a ton of other stuff also, and so I always have everything turned down so low because
Krivi Riech. Krivi Riech.
It's not Ria, it's Ria. Nah, the H is doing a different sound.
Riech.
It sounds like Hebrew. Anyway, so that city. I'm sorry about that, y'all. It killed a 47-year-old woman, injured 9 others while damaging a high-rise building, an infrastructure facility, a shop, and an education facility. Not even trying, regional governor, those people. Zelensky's hometown has been a frequent target ever since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. The overnight assault came just hours after the Trump administration lifted its sanctions of military aid for the Ukraine's fight against Russia. So Trump lifted its suspension of military aid, and then all of a sudden, immediately, Ukraine gets attacked. I'm sorry. I need to find out more about what's going on here. I just need to find out more about what's going on here, because that just sounds crazy. That sounds crazy. As soon as Trump allows for the aid that they give to the Ukraine to be lifted, so now the Ukraine can really use weapons to attack Russia and whatnot. Then Russia chooses to attack the Ukraine right before, right as they sign a ceasefire. So I need more. More needs to be going here. I'm not saying that isn't what happened. I'm just saying that I need more. I need more. I need to know more about what's going on in this particular situation. Oh, shit. I wasn't even showing y'all the screen. I hate when I do that. But I was reading it verbatim. Yeah, I need more. I need more. These are some of the images. I need more. I need more. I'm sorry. I need more. Because that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense from an aspect of strategy. You understand? Like, that doesn't make sense. Watch, we gonna find out that it really wasn't Russia. It was probably some other shit going on. I just wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens. That's all I'm saying. With that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm hungry. I gotta go get me something to eat. Warm me up some food. I have a ton of stuff I gotta do apparently today that I didn't know I was gonna be doing until yesterday, which is, I guess, dope. I guess. Once again, shout out. Shout out to the Most High. Glory be to God. Jesus is King.
Hey everyone, I'm Seth with Spoken Gospel.
Okay. Appreciate you, Chef. Appreciate you, Chef.
Is chapter 117. And it says this.
I want to show y'all something. I don't have nothing on my phone. My phone is just playing that. My phone is just playing that. Look. Oh.
Coming kingdom of God. And in doing so, Israel would bless the world. But as Israel's kingdom dragged on, it abandoned this calling, and it became more interested in preserving their national interest than bringing blessing to the world. And just like his country, the prophet Jonah refused to proclaim God's message of mercy to the Ninevites. And so, for Jonah's disobedience, God sent this fish to swallow up his prophet. And in doing so, God also gives Israel a living picture of the consequences for failing to invite the world into an experience of his mercy. Israel, too, like Jonah, will be swallowed in exile. Now, the reason I know this is because many of the Bible's prophets describe Israel's exile like a swallowing. The prophet Amos described Israel's coming exile as a descent.
Okay. I don't know why my phone does that. It just... my phone just does that randomly. I don't know why it does that. With that being said, I love y'all. Everybody, please go out there into the world. Do something worth doing. Stamp God's name on it. Let people know that you come in the name of God. We're always glorifying the name of God because we want to make sure that we always inside of the body of Christ. Like, comment, subscribe. Join the notification gang. Hashtag Bronx Bombers. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other. Hug the kids for me. I haven't forgotten about you. And that's all I got on this one.
Hey! Is the noon train on time?
Supposed to be.
Feels like it's time.
Yeah.